Hello and welcome to What the F*** Just Happened Today, your essential guide to the daily shock and awe in national politics. I'm Joe Amditis. Let's get to it. It's Tuesday, November 7th, 2023. Welcome to day 1022. Special counsel Jack Smith's office said in a court filing that Trump stands alone in American history for his efforts to overturn his loss in the 2020 presidential election. In a 79-page court filing, prosecutors asked a judge to reject Trump's meritless effort to dismiss their four-count indictment, saying no other president has engaged in conspiracy and obstruction to overturn valid election results and illegitimately retain power. Prosecutors said they planned to show that Trump repeatedly lied about the results of the 2020 election as part of a conspiracy to subvert the legitimate results, and that he is now attempting to rewrite the indictment and sanitize his conduct by making claims that are full of distortions and misrepresentations. In total, Trump has made 4 attempts to dismiss the federal indictment, charging him with attempting to overturn the election results, which culminated in the January 6th attack on the Capitol by his supporters. Moving on, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu suggested that Israel will have overall security responsibility in Gaza for an indefinite period after its war with Hamas, despite a warning from the White House that a reoccupation of Gaza by Israeli forces is not good. In a call with Netanyahu, Biden urged Israel to agree to a 3-day humanitarian pause in the fighting to allow for the release of 10 to 15 hostages and for humanitarian aid to enter Gaza. An Israeli official likened a 3-day pause to a ceasefire and said Netanyahu doesn't believe such a large window of time is needed to release such a small number of hostages. The Israeli defense minister added, "We can't cease this war until its goals are complete," and said they can't stop until they win against Hamas and see the return of hostages. Israel's military, meanwhile, has encircled Gaza City and is now operating in its depths, a move that U.S. officials warned would lead to increased casualties. In the months since the October 7th attack by Hamas, at least 10,300 Palestinians, including more than 4,200 children, have been killed, and more than 25,900 people have been wounded. The World Health Organization says the death toll was hard to fathom. More than 1.5 million people, roughly 70% of the population in the Gaza Strip, have been displaced. Moving on, with 10 days left before a potential government shutdown and no strategy to keep the government funded, House Speaker Mike Johnson suggested that the public should trust us. After House Republicans failed to find consensus on a spending plan during a closed-door meeting, which one member described as a train wreck, Johnson said he'd reveal the GOP's funding plan in short order, but said he's not going to show you all the cards right now. "Trust us," Johnson said. "We're working through the process in a way that I think people will be proud of." House Republicans are debating 3 possible approaches. The first is a clean continuing resolution, which would keep the government funded through mid-January. The second is a ladder spending plan that would fund different parts of the government incrementally, an approach that Senate Republicans have already rejected. And the third option is to wait and see what the Democratic-led Senate sends over to them. The deadline to fund the government is November 17th. And finally, it is Election Day in America. Voters in several states will participate in an off-year general election to determine the next governor in 2 states, control of the state legislature in another, and whether to enshrine abortion rights into the constitution of another state. This is also a reminder that we are now less than 365 days from the 2024 presidential election, when Americans will vote on a new president, 34 Senate seats, and 435 House seats. That's all for now. You can find the links and sources for all of these stories on the main website. And as always, visit whatthefjusthappenedtoday.com for the latest news and headlines. Until next time, I'm Joe Amditis.